they say it's good to learn from your mistakes, and it's even better to learn from someone else's mistakes. And so today, we're going to look at, is one of the reasons your podcast not growing as fast as you want it to, is that due to rabbit holes? Hit it, ladies.
The School of Podcasting with Dave Jackson.
Podcasting since 2005. I am your award-winning Hall of Fame podcast coach, Dave Jackson. Thanking you so much for tuning in. If you're new to the show, this is where I help you face your fears, flatten the learning curve, tackle that technology, and get you on the road to podcasting the right way. My website is schoolofpodcasting.com. You go to schoolofpodcasting.com/listener. You can save on either a monthly or yearly subscription. And today is not your typical kind of podcast. I do these every now and then. And what I'm going to do is talk about how to avoid a rabbit hole. Now, we all kind of know what a rabbit hole is. We use that phrase a lot. I went down a total rabbit hole. And on one hand, you kind of go, yeah, but how is that going to help me grow my audience? And I'm here to tell you that if I can save you a lot of time, and you take that time and you put it into making a better episode, and then you take time promoting it in a smart way, that will help you grow your audience. So, first of all, there are things. Have you ever heard something that's like too good to be true? You know, I know in the weight loss industry, it's like, hey, look, you're not going to have to change the way you eat, and you don't have to exercise 24/7. Just miraculously do exactly what you've been doing now, and you'll lose weight. And so what we're going to talk about is, look, you want to have more people listening to your show. I want to have more people listening to my show. And what happens is there are times when we really, really want those numbers to start going up. And at that time, we become a little desperate to see that needle move, and our emotions get the best of us. And when we're emotional, we might not make the best decisions. So like I said, the first thing to keep in mind is there might be something that sounds too good to be true. That typically means it is. I know I have purchased many different programs that are way, way, way like undervalued. I can't believe this is only $7. And then when you sign up, the last one I did, I'm getting good at this at spotting. I'm like, wait, they should be charging more. Is that there is not one. I'm okay if you have one upsell, but then it's two and then a third one. So what if you've never experienced an upsell? It's you pull out your credit card, you put in the thing, and on the congratulations, you've placed your order, there's another offer. That's called an upsell. And people do that because, well, it works. Your credit card's already out. All you have to say is, yes, add that to my order. And then, like I said, the one I saw from a marketing kind of guru, it was just upsell after upsell after upsell. And realize, as we talk about upsells, the more you add, the more information you then have to consume. But many times, if it's too good to be true, it's because it's too good to be true. The second thing to keep in mind is, again, many times we get really distracted by bright and shiny objects that have additional features. So first, let's talk about bright and shiny objects. I think the biggest one I can think of recently, right now, people are talking about Threads, but before that, there was Clubhouse. That's this audio tool, and it was going to be a podcast killer, and how's that turning out for them? Yeah, so because all the cool kids are doing it, I need to do that. And the answer is no. In fact, I've seen more than enough people saying, you know what, I am up to my eyeballs in social media. I'm not doing Threads. I know it's got 100 million people on it in 13 minutes and blah, blah, blah. And they're just like, no, I don't have time. I'm not doing it. So, but when we talk about features, the thing you want to keep in mind is, yes, these are additional features, but do you need them? I use a video tool called Loom. And I use it to send video messages to members of the School of Podcasting. And I love it so much that I bought a year's worth of it. It's $8 a month. So pennies a day to use this thing. And it's an amazing tool. And before I had that, and actually I think I did have it, but Vidyard came along. If you've ever heard of Vidyard, to make a long story short, they had more features. Ooh. And it was much more expensive, but I was like, hey, I'm going to get serious about this. And in the end, the additional features that I was paying for, I never used. And they wouldn't let me out of I had to do a contract and they wouldn't let me out of it. And I'm super happy with Loom. So when you see this new bright, shiny thing and it's like, oh, you look at your friend and you go, hey, Bob, check this out. It's on sale. 3 easy payments and it's got a cheese straightener. And then Bob goes, oh, well, I don't think we have any crooked cheese. Do you have any crooked cheese? And I'm like, no, but it's part of the deal. It's a bonus, but I got to act now. So if you don't know what a cheese straightener is, then go find out because you're paying money for this thing. And many times when you figure out what the feature is, you go, yeah, I kind of don't need that. The third thing to keep in mind is know your current tools. So I'm going to inject a little story here. I've told you, I use Loom. It does everything I need. And this happened a week ago. So I'm super happy with Loom. It does exactly what I need. It gets exact response I'm looking for. It's amazing. And then there's a website, and there's nothing wrong with this website. I go there all the time. I found some good tools there called AppSumo, but they have these deals with kind of new companies that are trying to build up their customer base. And many of them have a lifetime deal. So you spend almost no money and you get access to this software. And everybody's like, oh man, Gumlet. Gumlet is back on AppSumo. And Gumlet is basically a tool that lets you make your own YouTube. And it was, again, fairly cheap, but you could, depending on how many videos you needed and how many hours and how much bandwidth, to make a long story short, I put out $350. Now, I don't know about you, but in my book, that's a chunk of change. That's one I got to think about. But all the reviews and everything else said, oh, this is the bee's knees. And I bought it. And that's the fun thing about this. When you know your own tools, that, I went back to Loom and I was like, wait, I didn't realize Loom has unlimited videos. This sounds like a Loom commercial. Unlimited videos, unlimited bandwidth, basically everything this thing did, but it had additional features where they really focus on SEO for your videos. SEO for your videos, search engine optimization, help them get found. And then again, if we go back and ask, do I need this? Well, let's think about this. Most of the videos I make are tutorials for members of the School of Podcasting, which are going to be behind a paywall. So I'm not really worried about SEO. But I went ahead and bought this tool. Now, part of that was AppSumo has a 60-day money-back guarantee. And I get the tool, and it's okay. It's not bad, but there were their onboarding process, I would say, was not smooth. But look, I've been working in technology for, decades, so I figure some things out. But I'm also used to Loom. I'm used to Vimeo. I'm used to YouTube. And for me, a very basic feature is the ability to go, hey, give me a video that has a fixed width. Because the opposite of that, without getting too geeky here, is called responsive, which means however wide your website is, if you have it set to responsive, it will take up the full width. So I embedded this video on my website, and the video was the size of my head. And I was like, yeah, I need a fixed width. I need it to only be this wide. And I went to their tech support, who replied quickly and said, oh yeah, here's the tutorial on this. You just have to edit the code. And I went, excuse me? Because like everything else I use has a way to, no, you just adjust the code. And so that brings up the next thing I want to get into here, a couple of things. Number one, especially now, again, I'm not throwing shade on AppSumo. I just want you, as always, to be educated so that you don't make these kinds of mistakes. And what I'm talking about is AppSumo is a very popular site. That's why that whole thing works. These new software companies get tons of customers. They get to kick the tires in some cases, which is basically what I was doing. But consequently, internet marketers love because there's an affiliate program for AppSumo. And so here, if you see somebody making a video about any product on AppSumo, make sure you are seeing the inside of the video, because they'll take screenshots and they'll talk about the features. But if they're not physically demoing the software, then they didn't really buy it. And they're going to tell you it's the best thing since sliced bread, and you should buy it and use my special link. So be careful with that. And that's not an AppSumo thing. That's any product that has an affiliate. There are websites that are just dedicated to promoting web hosting, because every single one on there is an affiliate. And there's nothing wrong with affiliate marketing. I do that. But just be careful to spot, wait, this person isn't actually using the software. And so keep that in mind and know what you have, know what this does. But here's the other thing that I want to point out. I guess this would be the fourth thing, maybe. Know your current tools. Now, the reason I say this is I bought Gumlet. Now, let's go back. Dave, didn't you say that Loom does everything you need it to do? Uh-huh. Then, Dave, why were you even looking at this? Because it was new and shiny, and it was a one-time deal. Yeah, do you see how silly that sounds? But I recently moved to the School of Podcasting to a platform called Zenler, and one of the things I did was Zenler will do your laundry. It's an amazing tool, but I watched a lot of videos, and even if I said to myself, oh, I'm never going to use this feature, I would watch the tutorial anyway, because I'm like, no, I need to understand what this thing can do. And the reason for that is I use a tool called Heartbeat. That's what the community is based on for the School of Podcasting. And as that is a software about building a community, as you might imagine, they have a community of community builders. So I was kind of networking with some of those people. And of course, the topic came up of, hey, what video service do you use? Because if you're thinking, why don't you just use YouTube, is at the end of YouTube videos, it usually suggests something that's not yours and send your visitor away. And there are things like Killer Player that can do that. There are ways around that. But we were all like, now let's just get a different service. And in just a second, I'm going to tell you about the forehead slapping moment I had. And again, it could have avoided me going down a rabbit hole, but wait till you hear this. All right, so I'm hanging out in a group of people who do community building. We're talking about video platforms. He mentions Adillo. I go, that sounds familiar. And then I actually kind of dig into an area that I have on my computer, and I'm like, oh, that's why it sounds familiar. I already own this software. Now, when I bought it, it was years ago, and it was kind of a little early out of the oven, shall we say. And I didn't ask for a refund, even though at the time I was like, this is kind of wonky. But I had it. Fast forward a couple years from when I bought it, and it's a pretty decent platform. So there are two things there. Number one, the things you buy, go through and make sure you know what it does. And number two, keep track of what you've purchased. And we'll talk about something here in terms of returns. But the other thing, as I said, this particular platform has matured, and I'm still not all the way through the video, but there's definitely a feature that I'm going to be putting into place at the School of Podcasting that's going to replace another system I have, thus saving me money. And so when you know what your tools do, you can be more efficient, you can maximize their use, and instead of going through a giant rabbit hole, you can focus on making a better episode. And so what I want to point out here is, through this whole thing, is So I actually went through, I bought Gumlet. Now, it's not a horrible product, but here's the thing. If I did a podcast about how to start playing the guitar, and the first couple episodes were all about how to name the strings and how to hold your fingers and how to hold a pick, and you, as a listener of the show, was somebody who had been playing guitar for 15 years and you could shred your face off, that doesn't make that podcast bad. It means that podcast is not for you. And so Gumlet, again, not a horrible platform, but for me, when I did the math on how much, because I was going to throw a ton of videos on this thing, and I thought I'm going to have to manually put in all the code for this thing. And yes, there are tools. You can Google 16:9 calculators, but I just said, you know what? I don't think this was for me. I'm not really worried about SEO for my videos. And the cool thing is with AppSumo is they'll give you a refund. So being that I work in tech support for Libsyn, I always know give as much information as you can. So I went back, I attached my invoice, I gave them the invoice number. I said, this is the email that I made the purchase through. I gave them the last 4 digits of my credit card, everything to prove that I am the guy that did this and I'm not lying. And I said, and I would like a refund. And I had a refund in less than 24 hours. So always give your support people the information they need to take action, and they will. They didn't have to email me back and go, I'm sorry, who are you again? So as we start to wrap this up, I have one more thing. Number one, be careful of things that sound too good to be true. You're probably going to run into an upsell. And again, nothing wrong with upsells, but I do get like after the third or fourth one, I'm like, I just want the $7 thing. Also, any features that have grabbed your attention, are they useful? Are they going to save you time? Are they going to save you money? And the thing about saving money that I thought about this later, I was like, oh, if I get this, I could maybe replace Loom. I'm paying $8 a month. And in my book, that's not a lot of money. That's, a couple Starbucks if that's a thing you do. And I spent hours. I bought Gumlet. I spent about a week trying to make sure, is this how this works? There's that learning curve. And that's where you have to ask yourself, and this is going to lead into one of my last points here, but you may have heard the phrase where the juice is not worth the squeeze, right? You exert all this effort just to get a little bit of juice. And when I saw I was going to have to manually edit the code for a large portion of the videos I was going to upload, and again, we're talking minutes, but we're also talking a lot of videos, I went, yeah, the juice is not worth the squeeze. So when you look at those features, keep that in mind. Any software or any hardware that you own, if it's a recorder, if it's, the things we have at the School of Podcasting, I show you how to use Hindenburg and Audacity and things like that. Go through and make sure you know what they do, because the last thing you want to do is basically find out that you've been doing things the hard way and you had something right in your back pocket. And so in my case, I owned a Dillo, and I've been putting out money for a product that I use to communicate, not Loom, it's a different one, for members of the School of Podcasting, and it's built into this thing I already own. I've been wasting money, and I wouldn't have if I'd known that had been in place. Also, again, if you're taking someone's opinion, double check to make sure they're giving you first-hand knowledge. Not that all internet affiliate marketers are, dishonest, but there are some people that are like, I just need to attract the right people and adjust my videos for SEO, and, the money rolls in. And I'm going to throw in a slight tangent here, because I don't know if you know this or not, podcasting is hot, right? The world is into the whole podcasting thing. It's getting bigger and bigger. And I'm always amazed when I run across, because a lot of these people are coming to me saying, do you need somebody to edit your show? I get those a lot. And I always find it odd that when I go to some sort of podcasting service, they will almost tell you what they do, but I'm always amazed that there is no about page. And if it is about, it's like, hey, we love podcasting. Did you know podcasting is hot? We're in San Francisco, order today. And maybe it's me. I want to know, like, no, who is behind the company? Who is saying that they've been doing podcasting for, like, I want to know who I am trusting with my podcast, because there are a lot of podcast companies out there that for some reason either forgot to or don't want to share that information. All right, end of tangent. The last one is, and this is one that at times might be hard to do, and that is, for me, when I realized the extra work this was going to take, I was like, yeah, this isn't a good fit. I am not the target audience for this. Not that it's a bad program, but I'm not the target audience, and I asked for a refund. So if you go to use some sort of product and the juice isn't worth the squeeze, that's why I love to buy things, especially with hardware, from Sweetwater. Sweetwater, for full disclosure again, I have an affiliate link for that, but that's not why I love them. I love them because their customer service is ridiculous. It almost to the point of being annoying. It's like, hey, Billy, no, everything's fine. They give you candy when you order stuff, but here's the really cool thing. They add a year of warranty onto whatever hardware that you buy, which is really cool. And so, but also, if you go, yeah, this is the wrong thing, they're not going to give you any hassle to returning it. So that's why I love Sweetwater, and that's why I love, in some cases, trying things. If I'm like, this might be a good fit, I will buy it at Gumlet, and then at AppSumo, and then dig into the software. Because I got, granted I have 60 days, not 30, but I want to determine quickly, is this the right tool for what I bought it for? Because rabbit holes can chew up a ton of time. And the more time you pull away from your podcast, whether it's making a great episode or promoting that great episode, if you're busy trying to figure out how to get this thing to do the thing, but if you click the thing and the double click here and wait, it's supposed to be under this tab, but it's not. Yeah, we've all been there, right? And I'm trying to help you avoid those kinds of situations because your time is precious and I don't want to see you burn it up. I do have one last point when it comes to wasting your time is identify, kind of step back from yourself when you do. And I have one, and that is YouTube Shorts. I will be ready for bed, got my teeth brushed, all set to go, in my jammies, got my teddy bear, whatever I'm doing to go to bed, and I will see a YouTube short. And I'll be like, oh, it's only one. It's only one, Mom. And the next thing I know, I'm like, how is it 1:45? It's amazing. And so when you make the mistake of burning a bunch of your time, don't beat yourself up. That's not going to help. But just kind of look back and go, okay, this seems to be a problem. I get sucked into this. How can I avoid doing this? So I've trained myself that if I'm going to click on a YouTube short, especially when I should be going to bed, I'm like, okay, it's a limit of 2 or 3. And once that's done, I'm like, there you go. You got your fix. You got your little dopamine spike. Let's put a pin in it. Let's get some sleep. Because again, if the goal is to make better episodes and make smarter decisions on promotion, that requires sleep. And Abraham Lincoln, I believe, is the person that's kind of got this quote attributed to him, and that is, discipline is choosing between what you want now and what you want most. And so think about what you want most. We always go back to what's your why. That's really what's going to come in to help you make the right decision. And of course, if you need help with this, you can always find me out at schoolofpodcasting.com. Yes, hot off the presses. I don't know why I have been doing this all along, but I wanted to spotlight Scott Tregurtha has given birth to Take Control of Your Liberty. Find it at takecontrolofyourliberty.com. His second episode, it's interesting. And don't let your politics, just go in with like, I want to hear this side of the story. he interviewed someone who was arrested on January 6th. Yeah, talk about information you can't get anyplace else. So I will be spotlighting many podcasts as we go forward, especially in this case, one from a member of the School of Podcasting. I am trying something new. Speaking of things I found at AppSumo, it's a tool called Product Lift, and typically it's used for people who make software. But I thought, I wonder if I could use this with a podcast. If you go to schoolofpodcasting.com/ideas, now there is a hurdle here. It's a small one, but if you want to actually leave feedback, you have to put in your name and email. Now, this is not subscribing you to any kind of mailing list. It's just so you can leave feedback, and you can actually also, if you have something you'd like me to talk about, you can submit an idea for an episode, and I will then consider it. In fact, if we end up with multiple ideas, you could then vote on which one you would like to see. Now, as always, it's my show, and if you want me to talk about something that's not really related to this show, I will decline it, and that's where this could blow up in my face. But we'll see if it works at all, but you don't know unless you try. So if you want to check it out, schoolofpodcasting.com/ideas. Hey, if you like this show, if you know somebody who is always going down rabbit holes, you might consider sharing this episode with that friend. That's going to do two things. Number one, your friend's going to appreciate that because you're trying to help them out. Number two, you're helping me out by helping me grow my audience. And I do deeply appreciate it. Or just tell them to go to schoolofpodcasting.com. I do hope to see you on the inside of the School of Podcasting. All you got to do is go to schoolofpodcasting.com/listener. Don't forget that /listener. That'll help you save on either a monthly or yearly subscription. And kind of like AppSumo, I got a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you can join worry-free, get your podcast going in the right direction, sounding like $1 million without spending $1 million, and building your network with our brilliant podcasting minds in what I'm now calling the student lounge at the School of Podcasting. Thanks so much for tuning in. Until next week, take care. God bless. Class is dismissed.
This podcast is part of the Power of Podcasting Network. Find it at powerofpodcasting.com. Changing the world, one download at a time.